Hey, and welcome to a very exciting episode of Chet Chat. I got a call a few weeks ago from a student who said, I'm an avid cricketer. I love the game. I follow it all the time. I follow statistics and I'm passionate about it. But I think I may not be able to become a professional cricketer. And my dad wants me to go to an Ivy League college to study management, and which is why I came across your channel. So he called me and he said, hey, can you tell me, is this the end of the road for me as far as my passion in cricket is concerned? So I said, okay, I need to do something to solve this problem, because this problem is not only of that one child, but I know all of you listening right now are wondering, what can I do with my passion for sports? So to cut that short, I have got someone really special with me today who's got close to 2 decades of experience as a sports scientist, has worked with the leading teams of cricket in India and South Africa, tennis, golf, running, kabaddi, I could go on. So let me quickly get on Shayamal on the show. Hey Shayamal, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And it's a huge pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Because all these people, and there's so many of them out there who love sport and they want to be associated with sport in some way going forward. And some way, either it's the social setup or it's the family that tells them, no, it's a high risk strategy.
Yeah.
So take the safer option of doing an MBA.
Yeah, exactly. And in India right now, sports probably one of the fastest growing ecos, isn't it? We're seeing a league literally popping up every 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, the kids are looking at it and they want to be a part of the action, isn't it? And then the families are a little skeptical. So you can understand it from both points of view.
Yeah. But tell us about your career. You've had this fantastic career. You started off wanting to be a cricketer yourself.
Yeah. I grew up in South Africa. And I used to play a lot of cricket. I played, under 11, 13, 15, 17. I played in the state teams. I played in the national teams. And when I got to the under 19 level and I was open, I was drafted into some of the franchises. And, but the opportunities were very restricted because of the apartheid. We had a quota system. The country was just opened up into international sporting arena. And they had one player of color that was playing. And it was we all used to get very despondent, to be honest. So, I took a decision there and then that, I want to spend my life in sport. And not just spend my life in sport, but I want to spend my life working towards making sure that sport becomes an equal opportunity platform.
Yeah, and then you went on to study, you did a degree.
Yes, I've done a degree in sports science at the university. I was quite fortunate that the cricket teams, I was a bursary recipient, so they paid for all my studies. I wanted to maximize that, so I studied very, very extensively. Sometimes I was doing dual degrees at different universities just so that I could get them to pay for as much as I possibly can. And it worked out well in the long run.
Yeah.
So I started working with state levels and national teams from the time I'm 19.
Oh, wow.
So
in South Africa.
In South Africa, yes. So I was thrown right into the deep end. And it was quite difficult at first because people who were my heroes, I remember having pictures of Jonty Rhodes and Hansi Cronje and stuff on my wall, and the next day they're working with me and I have to tell them what to do. So it was quite a daunting experience.
But I think the ones watching the show, this piece is going to really strike a chord with them, because your role model being with you the next day.
In a team sport, you are as much a part of his success as he is a part of your success.
Yes.
So there's that underlying respect that needs to come, and you can't have any of that tainted by the images on the wall.
Yes, because you've got to finally muster up the courage to tell him, you're good, but there's still an area for improving,
Yeah, 100%, So it's been a very, very exciting journey for me. Started off in cricket with the national cricket teams in South Africa. I was fortunate enough to do the World Cup in 2003 with India.
Wow.
We lost in the final to Australia there. That was a really, really wonderful experience, Then I did the South African and Indian Davis Cup teams, traveled on the ATP tour, traveled on the PGA tour, did a little bit on the WTA with the women's, and been fortunate enough to have gone to 3 Olympics now as well, working with Olympians and across all sports. And then most recently, because of my passion for running, I've been doing a lot of work in Kenya with the Kenyan athletics team.
Right.
So I spend 4 to 6 weeks every year in there.
Which is fantastic. You've been ultra marathoner and you've done so much of work there.
Yeah.
Also with the kabaddi team.
Yes, most recently kabaddi has come in, where for me it's been trying to bring science into a very traditional game. My job as a sports scientist is predominantly to enhance the performance of an athlete.
Right.
And enhancing performance could be anything from psychological to nutritional to biomechanics to physiology.
Right.
So I'm looking at everything and I'm trying to figure out, what would be the best formula to help someone improve. And that's what I'm doing with Kabaddi as well.
Right.
I think the Pro Kabaddi League, for example, has done a phenomenal amount for the game.
Yes.
But I think it'll evolve when a new age player comes into play.
Yes. Yes.
Like the Virat Kohli
yes.
who came in.
Yes.
The Virat Kohli has now inspired a new generation and a new type of cricketer. Cricketer who's an all-rounder, who's faster, who's quicker, who's leaner than we've traditionally known.
Yeah.
And that same thing will happen in Kabaddi in a few years' time.
Yes.
The new Kabaddi player will be stronger, fitter, leaner, you will eat better, you will train harder, and that's when the game will evolve.
Yeah, and that's when everyone else will be motivated to sort of follow that.
Yeah.
And tell us about your recent experience with the Kings 11 Punjab.
Yeah, Kings 11 was quite interesting. I went back to the cricket field after almost 10 years. A few realizations is that 10 years down the line, nothing has changed in the game of cricket. The way we practice, the way we play, it's still the same. And incidentally, so much of technology is coming to the game. And if you look at statistically, if the bowler puts the ball in a good length, he's still going to get the batter out. And I was trying to tell the batters this from a psychological standpoint. This was very interesting that I kept saying them. I said, from the time the game of cricket was played, a good length ball is a good length ball in all forms of the game. Whether it is 20 overs, 40 overs, or in test match, it's a good length. So I said the brain is hardwired to realize that when a ball pitches in a certain area, it's a danger area. Right? So irrespective of how you package it, the brain is so hardwired to identify that as a danger area that if you put it in there, right, they will subconsciously think twice. We don't have to overanalyze.
So Shayamal, what all these people watching the show want to know from you is what are the options available to them? Let's say they're in high school right now and they're at the peak of their, school cricket, university cricket or city level cricket, football, tennis, whatever it is. And what are the options available to them apart from wanting to become that professional player?
In India, we traditionally think of playing as the only option. And the first thing I want to say is, if you want a career in sport, it has to be driven by passion.
Yeah.
Like any other field, you're going to have to be here for 10 years, 15 years, and then you'll reap the rewards of it. But having said that, sport, there are millions of avenues for it. There's the typical coaching, there's the administration roles that everyone knows in. But if you look globally, there's sports law. So if you're interested in law, you can specialize in sports law.
Right.
There's administration, there's sports psychology. In the fields of medicine, there's sports science. There's podiatry that's just dealing with the foot. There's sports orthopedics that's just dealing with the joints. So you can still become a doctor specializing in sport. There's a physiotherapist who's specializing in musculoskeletal and sports injuries. There's a psychologist. And the beauty of it is that, it's not that when you're looking for a career in sport, you're going to say that, I want to do something sports science or I want to do sports psychology. You can still go and do that degree that you want to in law, in medicine.
Yes.
And after that degree is after you've got your base set up, you go and do what's called a super specialization in the area of sports.
Right.
And you will need to do that because the way sport is moving right now, you cannot be generic. No one's going to go to you if you just call yourself a sports doctor, but you don't have a specialization in it.
Right.
So, and even in the coaching realm, you'll be seeing that. We're seeing bowling coaches, batting coaches, defense coaches, attacking coaches. Similarly, we're going to see psychologists that work with a special type of athlete.
Right.
On unlocking a special problem. So, the world is full of opportunities, and India is probably one of the most exciting places to be right now. Because in any other country, we have these specialists at the top.
Right.
In India we don't.
Yes.
If you want a sports scientist, you can you Google, you probably find my name will come up. If you're in sports law, I can think of probably one company in the whole country that specializes in sports law in Bangalore. But if you're looking at other psychologists in sport, you're struggling. You're looking at pure sports nutritionists, you're struggling. That's why it's a very exciting space to be in right now.
Yeah, so you're saying to them that pursue your passion in sport, but apart from that, build another passion. So it could be in medicine, it could be in journalism, it could be in law, it could be in psychology. And then from there, marry the two, and specialize. Look for that.
To specialize, right? Even if you want to become a financial advisor, go and do that.
Right.
And whilst you're studying, be involved in the sporting ecosystem that's there. Try to volunteer with leagues, try to play as much sport, join clubs, do that. After you've qualified, then start taking a keen interest in specializing in sport in that field. Because you're not going to find a sport journalism course.
Right.
You're not going to find a sport law course.
Yes.
Or anything like that.
So Shayamal, that was a fantastic sort of overview of all the different areas that they could look into. But looking at your experience and trying to take some advice from you in terms of what are the little things and big things they should keep in mind as they build this career.
It takes a special type of personality to be involved in sport. When you're looking at the sporting ecosystem, and especially when you're looking at your heroes, it's like the iceberg illusion. You just see the tip of the iceberg and you don't see the massive work that's gone in. You don't see the massive failures and the hardships that are in there. And I think that is what makes someone who's successful in sport, irrespective of what field, successful. Is that big chunk of failures that they've overcome at the bottom.
Wow.
So as a personality type, you've got to be someone who's very strong-willed. You're going to be someone who needs to bounce back from failure. You need to be confident. You need to put yourself out there. And you need to be able to work consistently and disciplined for a prolonged period of time, for a decade, before you're going to see that. Longevity is a very, very important part in this career. And that's the mindset that you got to bring to the table.
So staying power, reinventing yourself, learning all the time.
All the time, constantly.
Taking different experiences.
Learning from different people, being completely open, being completely humble. Sport, by the sheer nature of it, is very humbling. One day you score 100, the next day you're out for a duck. One day you're in the team, the next day you're dropped, and you open to criticism, isn't it? The whole world is criticizing you all the time. Planning is the key to success. I once met a runner by the name of Bruce Fordyce who won the Comrades Marathon. He won it 9 times, 8 consecutive times, and that's a 90-kilometer race. And when I spoke to him, there was nothing that he doesn't know. He knows every single person who won that race previously, what shoes they ran it in, where they trained, what clothes, what hydration drinks. His preparation was absolutely meticulous. And in anyone, it's exactly the same. You leave no stone unturned in preparation.
Wow.
The psychology is completely different. The psychology is about constantly pushing yourself to become better. And that's the mindset that makes someone truly great in this field, irrespective of what aspect of it you're working in.
I think that's superb. Also, some students tell me, when they graduate or they finish a course and they want to make that first foray into a sporting management or a field like that, they get stuck with those odd jobs and apprentice.
So, my only advice to them is, if you want to be a journalist, go and get an internship. Even if you're working for free, that's fine. But work in journalism.
Right.
You're not getting any experience by going and selling tickets or going and doing production on the back of the stage. It's not helping your career at all. So I'll tell them, don't do that. You rather spend that time more productively studying. You may go and do a short course or something. It's going to add up at the end of the day.
Right. Because that's another question in some fields, is that should I study more, or is it all about on the job learning? But you're saying occasionally go back, study more, come back, do the on the job learning.
I think success is going to be a combination of both your on-ground experience and your technical knowledge. The thing is that the experience on ground needs to be relevant. So don't get irrelevant experience at the cost of studying.
Yes. Okay, tell us, Shayamal, you've also been this consultant, EQ consultant, you're a sports psychologist, you work with a number of corporates, etc. So tell us, what are some of the key lessons that you figured that apply to areas other than sport, that we pick up from sport, for instance?
So, if you look at inside the mind of a champion, and I've been fortunate enough to work with many gold medalists, many world champions, people who've been literally at the pinnacle of their career. And the one thing I can tell you is that the psychology of a leader and the psychology of a follower is completely different.
Okay.
Yeah. The psychology of a follower is someone who's got a target and he's chasing down a target, and anyone can chase down a target, right? When you're a leader and you constantly have to set the target, the psychology is about raising that bar each time. It's about pushing your own limits, right? And not knowing where those limits are, but pushing yourself every day to set the bar. The difference between everyone else and a champion is that when everyone else achieves even a little bit, a minuscule amount of success, we pat ourselves on the back and we sit back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When a champion achieves any success, he goes back to the drawing board to reinvent himself. Right. Oh. We disrupt our routines and we disrupt ourselves after we've got success. And when we're not successful, we keep everything the same. We don't rest when we're winning. When we're winning, we work harder.
Wow.
And everyone else is resting. And we know this. It's probably one of the best kept secrets in the industry. I think the second learning that I'd like to give you, which is probably one of the more important learnings that I've found, is that we use what's called the science of self-transcendence. Right? So self-transcendence is, by definition, is to find something bigger than yourself, find a purpose bigger than yourself. And that's what we rely on. So when an athlete is completely drained, when he's got no energy to even take another step, when he's mentally exhausted, or the sun's burning down and he's running an ultramarathon for hours, or he's competing against someone that looks physically stronger and is physically stronger, how do you dig deep to push yourself beyond that? How do you ask yourself to take another step, or be there, or just be mentally strong? The idea right there and then is that you realize that you are a small part, and the purpose at which we're doing this for is far bigger. And this is what we do in sport. We find out what the person's purpose is. We marry it in with a bigger purpose in the sporting ecosystem and his vision, and that's how we get them to drive it. So these are probably two of the biggest lessons I think. It's taken me almost 2 decades to learn, but yeah.
But exceptional lessons. I mean, thanks for sharing that with us. So Shayamal, you're this entirely multifaceted person. I can see these huge number of books that are there. So you read a lot.
I read.
You're an author. You've got about 4 books out, right? So tell us something about, there's a book of yours that I read about the lessons from the wild, and I was very fascinated by it. So tell us something about that.
So, I grew up in South Africa, and growing up in South Africa, I was very, very passionate about the wildlife and animals. I grew up on the beach. And, reading is something that is very dear to me. I probably read a book a week. Because for me, there are 2 ways to learn. You can either learn by your own experience, or you can learn by someone else's experience. And that's what I read. I read, a lot of autobiographies, a lot of biographies from people, a lot of learnings and lessons from them, and that's how I grow my knowledge, and I look at how I can apply that. The book Lessons from the Wild was just something that I put together where, because I was so passionate about animals, I was looking at what is it that we can learn from them and adopt in our lives. So there's a small bird that lives in the Gulf of Mexico, and it breeds in the Arctic tundra, which is 3,000 miles away, and they make that journey every year. And the only way they can make that journey is when this 500,000 of them as a flock fly together, because their flapping of the wings makes them as a pack 70% lighter because of the air currents that they create. So, that was a lesson in the book on teamwork. And then there was I had a story of a bottlenose dolphin in Australia that it lives in water that's so shallow, and the fish have learned to stay really close to the shore. So the bottlenose dolphin goes out to sea, and as it's coming back onto the shore, it flaps its tail really quickly. It actually goes onto the beach, onto the sand, and it turns its body, and as it's going back, it catches the fish on its way back into the ocean. That's how it catches fish.
Adaptation.
So, adaptation, yeah. And that was a story that I got in the book for courage, because one thing goes wrong and it's the end of its life, isn't it? So it's a very courageous way to live your life. And I think these beautiful lessons that we can learn from them do 2 things. One is it was my attempt to connect us to nature.
Right.
Okay? And it was also my attempt to position how sometimes inconsequential we are. I'm a very spiritual person, so, I believe that, I don't look down on anyone. I believe that, my spiritual master keeps telling me that think of yourself as a speck of dust on the ground. So you're always looking up at people, and you're not looking down at anyone.
It's so inspiring.
Thank you.
And tell me, in the last segment of the show, tell us you worked with some fantastic people, individually, and had a lot of fun experiences too. So talk about some of those really special experiences that you've had.
It's very difficult for me to have a crowning achievement because no matter what I feel I'm doing, someone else gets the medal. So it's quite difficult to, but I'm very fortunate in the sense that I've really had the opportunity to work with some phenomenal personalities, whether it was guys in the South African cricket team, whether it was guys in the Indian cricket team, great golfers on the PGA Tour, interacting and working with people like even Rafa Nadal, Mahesh Bhupathi, Sania Mirza, Gail Monfils, Marin Cilic on the ATP Tour and the WTA Tour. All of these people, even going into the Olympic Games with our Indian contingent, for me, that's what sport's given me, isn't it? It's made me a richer person because it's put me in front of people that have constantly showed me that they're not resting and they're constantly pushing their limits to become a better person. I don't think there's a single day that I don't go to bed becoming a better person.
How beautiful. So thank you so much. I've just enjoyed thoroughly hearing you, and I'm sure all of them are going to hang on to every word you've said.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
And wish you all the luck with your venture.
So much.
And thanks for watching till the end. I'm sure you've loved this episode and you have lots of questions more to ask, so put them all down in the comment section. Like and share this video. Like us also on Facebook at ChetChat101, at Instagram ChetChat101, and at Twitter ChetChat101. So if you have any questions, let us know. And if you want to subscribe to the show, you know that little red button in the corner and the bell next to the button as well to get your notifications. So happy watching.